God. Amen. Down through the years when you got ready to commune and people didn't really understand what communion was all about, but most of the time, I know those who have been in the church maybe a few years, and a lot of times people feel like they're not worthy to take the Lord's Supper because they have sinned somewhere along the line. But my brothers and sisters, we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. Amen. But we just been forgiven. So, and I see a lot of people down through the years, when they got ready to do, they would do that. No. They would excuse themselves. Can I stop right here and pause right here? When it comes down to people being worthy to take the communion, if you consider yourself worthy because on your works, my brothers and sisters, none of us measure up.
Amen.
None of us measure up to it because we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. In all the ways that, and so God wants us, when we're out in the world, when we come to Him, He wants us to line up, and that is to accept Christ as our personal Savior, or we've been born again. Well, then we can begin to measure up when we start working on ourselves. Amen. Watch this, what Paul said in dropping down, skipping just a little bit, then I'll get on to that. He said in verse 8, he says, but now ye also put off these things. In other words, he said, now after you done got lined up with Christ, well then now you put off anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, and filthy communication that comes out of your mouth. Lie not to one another, that ye might put off the old man in his deeds. In other words, when you become born again, you began to work. God put the Spirit in where you can begin to work on yourself. Amen. Amen. So we find here that if Christ is the head of our lives, we want to look at 3 or 4 things, then I'm going to be out of your way. Amen.
Amen.
And I'm going to be very brief when I mention him. But we look at the word Lord, because we hear people say all the time, the Lord is the head of my life. So if the Lord is the head of your life, and if you said it and you honestly mean that from your heart, well then there are some responsibilities that comes along with that when you say that Christ is the head of your life. Amen. Can I get a witness? Amen. 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 Anybody can say it, but do you really mean it?
Amen. Amen.
So, other words, my brothers and sisters, number one, we're going to look at the word Lord, and we look at the L, and this is just Bible spiritualizing, but the word for me, it means that if you say the Lord is the head of your life, well, L should stand for love.
Amen.
Can I get a witness? Now, do you love people?
Uh-huh.
Oh, come on. Do you love people?
Yes.
Do you love yourself?
Yes.
Because the truth of the matter of it is, it really starts with you.
Amen.
If you don't love yourself,
Amen.
well, it's hard to love the people that are around you.
Amen.
Amen.
If you feel small or insignificant, or you didn't have the right, you think you didn't have the right training and background, and so you have to first love yourself, because when you love yourself, love starts at you, then it spreads abroad.
Amen.
Can I get a witness?
Amen.
So it is, my brothers and sisters, that start loving yourself. Amen. Be proud with what God has given you.
Amen.
Don't look at somebody else and wish that you had what they had.
Amen.
You wish that you had their education. You wish that they had this. Be proud. James Brown put a song and said, say it loud. I'm blocking the pride.
Yes.
Amen, amen, amen. If your hair roll up, be proud of that.
Amen.
Amen. Say it loud. I'm blocking the pride.
Amen.
Amen. Because love who you are. Other words, there are so many people, fake people, that they're not offended because they're trying to emulate somebody else.
Amen.
They are not satisfied with what God has blessed them with. You see what I'm saying? So you just learn to be yourself. Don't look over the fence saying, well, if I had what so-and-so had, if I had that type of house. No, you just learn to love what God has given you. Amen. Somebody always, they often say, well, Pastor, you know, you always dress nice. I said, well, you know, that's just a gift that God gave me. I said, now, I wasn't fortunate like a lot of y'all with a lot of good looks. But I said, what God did, but what God gave me, I dress it up. Amen. Amen. Dress it up. Amen. 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 That's all you got to do. Amen. Love yourself. So, amen. So that's what Paul here is telling the church at Colossae that to love yourself. Many Christians fail to give God their wholehearted devotion. They are self-seeking and self-centered and hold a portion of themselves in service. So God wants, when you come to church, don't look at nothing other than what God has done for you.
Amen.
Amen. And be willing to share in the service what God has given you. Amen. You heard me say it like a broken record. Everybody can't sing like RJ. But you can do something.
Amen.
Amen. It's nothing more than just be what? Faithful.
Right.
That means so much when people look on the outside, seeing you and me. We come when we feel good. We come when we don't feel good. We come through the rain, the sleet, and the snow in order to be a light to what? This community. Amen. That means something. It may not mean something to a lot of people, but that means something to God.
Amen.
When we come together, when we don't feel like it, when we pool our resources to help somebody who is less fortunate than we are. Amen. Amen. So that's love. Amen. That's love. We must love God with all of our hearts.
Yes.
And we must love others by doing such things as helping what? The needy, and visiting the sick, and feeding the hungry.
Amen.
So this day and time, because of social media, if you know somebody in your community that is feeling down and sad, you can inbox them, or you can send them a message or text them and let them know that everything gonna be all right. Amen. That's what we're about, is encouraging one another. That's what Paul, he saw this church was struggling because they were young, and he just encouraging them, said, set your affection not on earthly things, but set your affection on what? Spiritual things. Amen. Because we are just pilgrims, we're just traveling through here, and this is not our home. Amen. Everything that we got, one day we're going to leave it behind.
Amen.
If I would die today, my wife bury me in this suit I got on. Amen. It's going to the grave.
Amen.
But you know what? On the other side, I ain't worried about that because I got a robe.
Amen.
Can I get a witness?
Amen.
Over here, and don't worry about what you don't have. Amen. You might not even have a car down here. But over there, you're going to have a chair. You
Amen.
might not have any silver and gold. But over there, you're going to walk on the street with pavement.
Amen.
That's why we have to understand, over there, my brothers and sisters, we are striving to get there because we know that it's going to be better over there than it is here. Amen. Long as we stay here, there's going to be some more pain. There's going to be some more tragedies. There's going to be some more setbacks. But over there, it's going to be all over. And that's why we should be striving. We already have our ticket. We've been born again, but there's so many in our circle probably don't have that, so we need to be encouraging them. Amen. To let them know that one day it's going to be all over. Amen. Christ is coming back for the church. Then number 2 is the O stands for obedience. So we have to learn, the Bible teaches us that obedience is better than